Lloyd joins us. We start with Carlton. And, Lordo, they've got some now issues on the back of yesterday, and they've got some big future issues looming.
Yeah, the issue for Carlton, Hutch, is they're 3 wins and 5 losses. They sit 13th on the ladder with a percentage of 95. So that's mediocrity. And you get to it. They lost to Collingwood. That looks a horrible loss now. But they were the hype team in the pre-season. They've lost the Brisbane Lions. They've lost to Port Adelaide, the Richmond Footy Club, and also the Western Bulldogs. And so they just can't beat a side that's above them or a side that's going to challenge. And they've got Melbourne at the MCG on Sunday. So then they get another one who we probably expect that they could be in the game but not quite good enough to get to. So they got Sard in, they got Zach Williams in. All the hype was there, Hutchie, and now they find themselves pretty much in no man's land, not being able to really threaten some of these top sides. And the thing about it is, Kane, they've got a guy flying at full forward winning the Coleman medal. They've got a guy flying in Sam Walsh through the midfield. Yet
Wiedering's flying.
So they've got 3 stars right through. Backline, midfield, forward, yet all around them, they're falling down, and their captain, they're 2 captains that are probably struggling, not leading the way at the front.
Yeah, we'll get to that in just a moment. But Harry Mackay, the comments from Gary Lyon there, club's coming hard for him. Do you know any more on that?
Yeah, well, it's certainly going to be a looming issue for them. And they're paying 105% of the salary cap now, which means they're basically maxed out. Now, they've got Paddy Cripps out of contract, who's on already 800,000 plus, which is he absolutely deserves. Probably would have re-signed at the end of last year, and Carlton would have given him a long-term deal. They've got the guy leading the Coleman medal, Harry Mackay, earning just over average wage in 400,000. That will more than double wherever he plays.
If they've got the money to spend, and that becomes the issue, has Cripps made a strategic error in sitting back on this? Because they've got to decide now where the money goes. There's a limited amount of money at Carlton. Everyone can see that.
Maybe Cripps has been waiting to see how Carlton's going to go, but now maybe they could look at him and say, OK, where do we need to put our money? And that's what I've got put to the task tonight, to have a look at where you would spend your money. And for me, everyone will say, why have you got Sam Walsh number 1? Well, I think he is the next captain of the Carlton Football Club. So I think what Walsh does for Carlton and what he can be for Carlton over the next 10 years, he's their captain.
He's contracted though, the 2 and 3
Yeah, that's right.
That's your sequence.
I'm saying that he's out of contract at the end of next year, but I would get Walsh done ASAP.
Yep.
Before he gets even better and he's worth more. Harry Mackay may well be the number 1 target in the whole AFL competition.
So you're doing him before Cripps and giving him more money?
And giving him more money, yes. And Patrick Cripps, I know he was on probably on 800 plus, Sam.
Yeah, that would be a pay cut for him.
Times have changed in terms of COVID and also salary cap. Yeah, and I don't think he would be entitled to that money. If he can get it somewhere else, good luck to him. But I would not be paying over that.
That would be amazing list management from Carlton if they were able to secure those 3 on that money. I mean, that's not even paying one of them near $1 million. Someone will pay much more.
But you know, you have to get someone out. You have to pay that. More, but that would be crazy to pay more.
The problem they got is that Harry, like you look at the clubs that have a need for that type of player.
Collingwood,
the Collingwoods
Essendon,
and the Fremantles and the Essendons are all going to have $1 million plus for him, aren't they?
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so you've got the money coming for Harry, and you've got to decide how much you can afford to pay him. And then you've got Cripps and the fact that he hasn't signed. And what effect does that have on a team, do you think?
Yeah, well, we saw the effect that it had on the Gold Coast Suns. I mean, they were in a rare situation, Kane, that they had both captains, Tom Lynch and Stephen May, out of contract. Now, they, of course, ended up leaving. The more this goes on, the more it affects the morale at that footy club.
Do you think so?
Absolutely. There's no question about that.
Bontempelli hasn't signed yet.
No, but there's every expectation that he will, and that Amit Baines has said that's probably likely to be a shorter term than a longer term deal. But
I know we're going to get to Williams soon, but I think his contract would also play a role in what these guys think they're worth.
Well, he reset the market.
Yeah.
Like when he walks in on that publicised money, everyone's got a benchmark of what they're worth against it.
Absolutely agree on Cripps. You've got to be prepared to lose him. That's what Carlton have to do. They have to be prepared to lose him. And I said, 6 weeks ago on this show that 750 is about the right figure.
You've been strong on this from the start.
Because of this, Hutchie. And this isn't a new thing for Patrick Cripps. He's horribly out of form, and he has been for 18 months. He finished 9th in Carlton's best and fairest last year in a team that didn't make the finals, and he's not influencing games. Compare these two, who we would have rated similarly before the start of the year. He was nowhere yesterday, to the point, Lordo, where I don't know why, but they started him on the bench for the second half, for the first 6 minutes. He's there, he's speaking to someone. It wasn't the coach, David Teagan, it was assistant coach, but this is now a distraction at Carlton, his form at the moment.
What do you think it is? Obviously, it's a running game. You look at the players who are playing well. Yeah, Bontempelli covers the ground really well. Petrarca, explosive. Even Travis Boak has changed the way he's played his game, hasn't he?
Doesn't suit the new game doesn't suit him, and I think the likes of Ollie Wines, who's a similar type, have really worked hard on that outside run and spread. And if you can't go forward, that's his biggest issue. He's not a dangerous forward. They've tried. He doesn't hit the scoreboard. The other one is Williams as well, Hutchie, over the weekend. Now, they got him to play midfield to help Patrick Cripps. The centre bounce clearance is 23-7 on the weekend. That was where the game was lost. Williams is supposed to come in and help in the midfield. This was him at training today.
Yeah, look, new role for me. You know, I'm still trying to learn how to play with some new teammates and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm so confident. That's why, you know, I've put my hand up and told the coaching staff that that's where I want to play. So I think, you know, I just got to get my consistency just playing games. I think it'll come just through the year. And I think as long as I'm doing the right things through the week and, you know, ticking the boxes I need to tick, I think it'll come.
So you have to question the list management as well. You go after a midfielder on $800,000 a year to help Patrick Cripps, one who, by his own admission, is still learning how to play midfield. It's extraordinary.
Did that surprise you that he said that?
They had to get a midfielder. As I said, that was the issue yesterday, the midfield. 23-7. Yep. You go and get one, you identify a need, but he's still learning the role on $800,000. That's Dangerfield money. That's a poor list management choice that Carlton have made.
It's early days on him as a player there, but their sales pitch in the competitive market was you'll play midfield here. They've got to unwind that now. They've got to say, well, let's hope we get there one day.
Well, put him to half-back now.
You've got to go to half-back.
So you've got Sard, you've got Doherty, and you've got Zach Williams. So that's their issue.
But the Bulldogs got 3.
I know, but then the midfield's even weaker again, where they get exposed by the Bulldogs yesterday.
And then you put on top of all of those issues the fact that they're happy to play shootout footy. So they want to be an offensive team. David Teague said that at the start. To his credit, he stood by it. And this is what he said going into the game on the weekend.
Well, if we concede a big score, we're just got to make sure we kick a bigger score. So it's scores for versus scores against. And I'll be honest, I think this game could be really exciting. It might be a high-scoring game, and I think both teams will do their best defensively, but it could end up being a more offensive game.
Yeah, so Luke Beveridge would have laughed when he heard that. That was in the day or two before the game.
Why do you say that?
Because this is their average score, their last 5 games on Etihad Stadium. Hutchie, look at it. They're all over 100 points. It's unbelievable. Carlton 93.4 scores against. They're 15th in the competition. They've conceded over 105 times this year. What they needed to do to beat the Western Bulldogs was all about defence. It's not about a shootout with the best team that plays Marvel, the Western Bulldogs, who have kicked 100 points the last 5 times they've played on that ground.
I think what is becoming clear at the Carlton Football Club now is that at the start of 2022, that coaching group will not be there. It will be a different group. Now, whether that's a different senior coach or not, or whether they just clear out the assistants and put a support network around him, like Richmond did with Damien Hardwick, like Collingwood did with Nathan Buckley. I think what is becoming clear at Carlton is that the coaching group needs to
What do you think of the philosophy of... Because it worked for 2.5 quarters of outscoring them, and you would have... Halfway through the third, you make an argument to say this was a great strategy. What do you think of it as a philosophy?
I think it'll beat sides like Essendon. But when you're conceding 100 points, you're asking for trouble against the top-end sides because they don't concede 100 points very often.
Yeah, when have you ever heard a top 4 coach or a premiership-winning coach say, we're going to go in for a shootout this week? The top 4 teams don't use that language. It is all about, as boring as it can be for fans, it's all about the defensive side of the game, and Carlton haven't put enough time into that area, and that's why they're paying the price right now.
And this is just what I wanted to show. This is what happens as the game wears on. The big boys come to play, and the Dogs wear you down, and they're getting smashed in the clearance. They're a better kicking side, and eventually the damn wall just breaks. And this is what happened late in the game. Goals like this, you go streaming in because you're overpowered. And I will say, we've gone pretty hard here at Carlton. The frustrating part is they do a lot right in games, but they just can't sustain things for 4 quarters. Their defence is a mess. They don't defend the ground well enough, like good sides should, and that's their issue.